So hello everyone, I am Mary Elizabeth Meier and I'm going to go back a slide if I can find how to do that. The title of my presentation is Research and Reference Imagery in Designing the Her Voice, Her Vote mural in Erie, Pennsylvania. And this is a smaller grain size than what Leslie and I originally proposed with this broader issue that appears in the title of our presentation on the poster. But I wanted to talk with you today from the perspective of a brand new Wikipedia editor and talk with you about how I came to this use of Wikipedia and make some suggestions about areas that we can look at together. I am not a scholar in women's suffrage. This is not my main line of research, but this question of how to find imagery and how to find research material for a mural came to me when a group of colleagues invited me to be part of the proposal for a public mural that would be installed in downtown Erie. And this public mural was invited by the League of Women Voters and the Erie Downtown Partnership. And there was a wide call for artists to submit their ideas and to apply for funding to do this. And we thought, well, we know that art can raise a lot of awareness about current issues. We're all interested in increasing voter participation. And this mural was chosen. And so the group of 5 artists and I went in search of imagery, and we started to self-educate about the history of the ratification of the 19th Amendment and women's suffrage. And we learned that it is a difficult history, and it is one that is ongoing and that continues through the civil rights movement historically and into present days as we want to activate voter participation. And as we really ask questions about why are people voting or not voting, and who has access in practical ways to this civic duty. So Leslie Sotomayor and I traveled with our Edinburgh University art education students to the naturalization ceremony last month at the US courthouse. And we brought our students and invited the community there, everyone there, to paint on this mural. And so I'd like to talk with you about the context of this project and how we can locate information about suffrage and about the figures, the biographical figures, who are part of the story of women's suffrage and women's right to vote. So one of the portraits that the artists in our group identified as being important to include in the mural was Mary Church Terrell. And Wikipedia identifies Mary Church Terrell as one of the first African-American women to earn a college degree, and someone who became known as a national activist for civil rights and suffrage. And I went in search of some books that are published about suffrage, because I noticed as I was doing initial Google searches that the imagery, the visual culture imagery, and of course I was looking for reference imagery for this mural, and I'll go back to that, this page. I was looking for reference imagery to see the visual culture, the buttons, the pennants, the flags, the portraits, studio portraits, the things that we remember as being indicative of a period of history in the United States, 1920, when the US states and territories were ratifying this amendment. And I was noticing that the images were often the same, of white privileged women wearing fine dresses and picketing, or a lot of the imagery that is circulated in media just seems to be pretty much the same. So we wanted to see how we could look for diverse perspectives. So I went to the Mary Church Terrell page, and we see this portrait of her, and we read about her, but there's very little in the pages about African American suffrage in terms of visual culture, and this is an area that needs to be added to. So I recently edited this page. This is a bio page, and I added the source, the reference. It's a wonderful book by Rosalind Terborg Penn, and the title of the book is African American Women in the Struggle for the Vote. And this is the cover of the book. And I just added that at the bottom in a place called Further Reading. So I didn't add a citation to a specific idea, but this was my first edit to Wikipedia. And that's how Leslie Sotomayor coached me on how to get started. And then she and I have come up with another a list of things to do to continue this work. So this is an invitation that I would like to invite all of us to consider together today. So let's look at Wikipedia and ask this question. How does Wikipedia represent diverse women and their intersectional identities in respect to historical information about women's suffrage in the United States? And so if we were to think about suggestions for editing work, we could scroll down on Mary Church Terrell's editing page, and I could actually post that link. Or do you happen to be there? If you just type in her name in the Wikipedia area of search. And we could look specifically at this section of her bio page. It's called Fighting for Black Women's Suffrage. And we could just read it and notice some things about it. One of the things that I notice about it is that, and the page in general, I may just go back to this main view of the page, is that there could be more connections between other women, additional women in the National Association of Colored Women and other activists who are linked up with her. And I think I'll probably exit here now and just invite you to look at the page. So I think I'm going to exit my share and then I'll come back to it so that it's easy for you to just kind of look and notice. Okay, so you should have your own view now. So again, the question at hand, if you would just join me in looking, is if we look at Mary Church Terrell's page, what do you notice about intersectional identity and her connection to other African-American activists who were working at the time that the 19th Amendment was ratified, and also before? Because women's suffrage, the roots of activism of women's suffrage can also be found in the abolition of slavery, that the rights of those people, the history of this doesn't begin just with the ratification in 1920, which is what we're commemorating at this time in 2020, 100 years later. And so I found this idea of commemoration kind of problematic, because it isn't so helpful just to celebrate 100 years earlier. So I'm going to pause my mic, and I would like to hear any thoughts that you might have as you look at this page and as you consider this question of what do you notice might need to be edited on the Mary Church Terrell page, or any of the ideas in general.
I think one of the first things that that I thought about in looking at this is a lot more citations in that first blurb could be addressed. The documentation of this woman's life and history. There's only one citation in that first paragraph. So that's one of the first things that jumps out at me.
So more citations in the first paragraph.
Yeah.
I'm also looking at, in that first paragraph, one of the ways that citations are made by linking to other pages in Wikipedia. And so we see several links there, and I'm just working right now to go to those links to see how they represent, because it sends you to those places and who's missing, and just the some of, I have to look at it a little bit more, but I feel like when I go to the other, clicking on the link that I'm trying to see if it comes back to yeah, okay, it does come back to Mary Church Terrell. I'm looking at one, but that's that's one way to connect to other women that other women of color who she may have been very much a part of the movement here, and it does kind of come across when you do click on these links. I have to spend more time with it.
That's a really great suggestion for the original problem that I came to this with is how do you deal with these images, and the complexity of this isn't represented in the images. And then next is, what about students and the public who is learning about suffrage through Wikipedia? What are they learning about suffrage through Wikipedia? But I do think that we can interlink the pages that do provide information about the National Association of Colored Women, 1896, and go to just the general women's suffrage page, for example, if we search women's suffrage, and see how well are those links made between existing Wikipedia pages, and how the idea of that general term women's suffrage, and then of course we find out we need to be women's suffrage in the United States if we know. So, but I am considering this question of what is the visual culture of Wikipedia, and how can we make it a little bit more complex? It was a really simple way to just state that, because I think high school students might use Wikipedia to find reference imagery. So I've made some notes. I am going to look at Fiona Foley, and I am thinking about locating places that we can really just use existing Wikipedia pages since I'm a beginning editor. So how can I link things that already exist?
Once you get started like this, you could see how you could, a unit of study, whether it's K through, or middle school to high school, or university too, that you could take, like your top topic here, and how you can go really deep into that and take that critical view of what's absent, the materiality of silence that's going on here. So I think this is fabulous for you to bring us into this. I had not looked at Wikipedia in this way or this particular area, so I really appreciate it.